this is actually a Facebook Live on sort of the one thing that is that you actually have to know, and it's the, and I mean, I'm always kind of amazed that how's everybody hearing me? No sound. Okay. All right, let's try this. All right, how is that better? Tell me if that's better. If we've got sound now, is that working? Hey, Mary Jo. Somebody type in, hey, Lonnie, tell me if there's any sound. Thanks, Joe, for no sound. Good sound. Okay, perfect. Sorry, I had the headset plugged in, but not on my head because I'm juggling, bringing a bunch of things together here at the last minute. So everybody's coming on, and I just wanted to share with you another cool thing that I teach at the Rhys Thomas Institute that is really, it's really something that nobody else teaches, nobody else does, and it's so essential to real transformation, to real, like if you really want to make a shift in your life. There's so much out there, so many modalities, so many things that are fantastic, and they work on or deal with either acute or chronic illness, and they help you with that. But ultimately, the one thing that you need to know to release all of these things is one thing that for whatever reason, it just seemed so obvious to me, and this is something that I've just sort of realized, that I just assumed that everybody else understood this and got this, and this one principle that I got while I was in energy medicine school, and I was learning all about chakras, and I was studying Anna Dea Judith has a book called Eastern Body, Western Mind, and if you haven't read it around chakras, you definitely want to do that. And basically she and Carolyn Mace is another one who has a great work around chakras, and Carolyn Mace basically took all of the religions in the world and showed how all of these chakras are the religions, and Anna Dea Judith basically took all of the psychological and energetic sort of systems that are out there, and showed how the chakras are basically they are the developmental phases of childhood of throughout your life. They are that all of these things that we're describing, psychology and the different great psychologists who have these different organizations of how people develop. Those are all it can be found in the chakra system. So in the energy system, and of course I don't have everything already here, but in the energy system, and if we're just talking about the 7 chakras, in the 7 chakras, which are here behind me as well, this is sort of like a vertical look at them. In the 7 chakras are all of your life, everything that you will do, everything you will experience, everything that serves you as a person or you experience in your life is a chakra. So everything that's physical, I understand is, this computer is physical. My hands, these things, everything that I can't move my hand through. so it's like this and this must be solid because I can't. Two things cannot maintain the same space. So that's the first chakra, and I realized that at the first chakra that there are physical laws, and I have to live within those physical laws. Well, those physical laws science says that physical laws that say that atoms only blah 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 blah. But the truth is that atoms are made of a totally empty space, and there's no reason why they can't inhabit the same space at the same time, except that we have a first chakra that says no. We need to have separateness. We need to have you work with this world this way. The second chakra is about how this world that I experience feels and senses, and how I sense that, and how I deal with how the two things in my life, how my hands deal with each other, and how I deal with other people, and how I actually deal with these objects in the world emotionally, physically, and feel them and connect with them and get my needs met by them. So it's the second chakra. The third chakra is where I take this amazing body and these amazing feelings, and then I say, and this is what I'm feeling. It's like, this is it. This is a Rhys. And this body and these feelings always create a Rhys. It's amazing. It's kind of an amazing thing. And this is actually what I'm going to get at right now. And we can go up through the other chakras, but basically your chakras are defining something very important. And I took some notes down. Anna Judith, in her book, she has a beautiful chart in her book about the childhood developmental stages that some of the greatest thinkers of the world. So Freud, Reich and Lowen, Piaget, Erikson, Maslow, Wilbur, and Kohlberg all are sort of like the premier, psychiatrists in the world, and they studied people's behavior, right? And so in studying people's behavior, you'll notice that there are very consistent things that happen. If you are wounded at a certain age, that will create a lifetime of this problem, or that problem. If you're wounded if you're wounded at birth, there's one set of problems. If you're wounded at 2, there's another set of problems. If you're wounded at 4, 5, or 6, or 7, there's another. And basically they were able to see that there are these patterns that emerge within people, and they're very consistent. This is the one thing I'm getting to. This one thing you have to understand. The problem is that psychologists didn't look at the body's energy. And even the people that did, like Lowen and Reich, they were trained in psychology. So many people are trained in psychology. So those who have taken my profile assessment, and worked on and developed and read my book, Discover Your Purpose. And by the way, this is the foundation of the one thing. And if you haven't bought my book, Discover Your Purpose, go on to Amazon and buy my book, Discover Your Purpose. This is going to teach you the one thing that's missing in all of the other areas. And in that book, there's a free profile assessment in there. And I have a free profile assessment and a paid profile assessment on my website at www.rhysthomasinstitute.com, and you can get those. And actually, I've got some new ones coming out. I've got two new profile assessments coming out, and get this, I've got an online profile course that is right within the next few weeks. You're gonna be hearing more about it. But basically, what has happened is that all profile assessments, the Myers-Briggs, the DISC, the Enneagram, Nervous, there's a whole bunch of them out there that are developed by and take into account psychology. So they're developed by psychologists. They're developed by people that are looking at behavior. Okay, now remember, psychology originally, back in the Greek, back when psychology was developed, psychology, when you break it down, actually means the study of the soul. Oh, the one thing. The one thing is the soul. And the study of the soul is what psychology started out as. The problem is that, as we just saw with these amazing brilliant minds, Kohlberg, Maslow, Erikson, Piaget, Jung, all of these amazing minds were taught that the way you figure out who a person is by their behavior and by what happened in their life And how they responded to that will tell you who they're going to be in their lifetime. And I can tell you for absolute certain, it's not true. It's not true. If you get wounded at, say, so the chakras develop, or these childhood development phases, which everybody, by the way, every one of these psychiatrists, every one of these psychologists, everybody in psychiatrists figured these things out. From 0 to 12 months, for the first year of life, there seems to be this phase, this developmental phase. And then they shift from just developing developing matter, which is the first chakra, developing the first chakra, to from about 6 or 8 months to 2 years old. There's the development of sort of receiving and needs and feelings, and the nervous system expands drastically. So the child goes from just sort of being, just literally just creating matter in the first chakra to then really experiencing their feelings and their needs, and that's when they start crying and they start realizing, I'm hungry, I'm wet, and how your needs got met, how you were in the first chakra, how safe you were from a year, up to a year old, to 2 years old, where you're developing your needs. If you get wounded, if it's not safe, if you're growing up in a war zone in the first chakra, you're never going to like being on planet Earth, and you are going to be dissociated in your life if you have a wound there in the first chakra. If you have a wound in the second developmental stage, which all of these psychiatrists talk about, which is really the nurturance stage, and it's called the oral feeding stage. And if you aren't fed well, if you don't have that, then of course you're going to have issues around not getting your needs met, or feeling like there isn't enough for you, or things like that. And that will of course create behavior over a lifetime. So an event can create behavior, and logically, if you're thinking about life through the brain rather than through the energy field, okay, you will make an assumption that what happens to you in your childhood or in your young adult life, or in each of these phases. So the chakras develop. Basically, all these people are every religion and every psychology, everything is designed to describe this. The problem is that psychology was, like I said, psychology was originally the study of the soul, but it has basically become the study of cognition. It's become the study of behavior and cognition, and the organization of how what happens here creates what happens in the future. Okay, and here's the thing: when it stopped being the study of the soul, it lost the one thing it needed to make sense of what's actually happening in life, to make sense of what the chakras are doing. And so even people that are teaching chakras understand that, well, okay, so these are the developmental phases of the chakras. Well, if you got wounded in this chakra, well, that wound is going to cause you to be this type of person, right? So here's the rub. What is actually happening is that the soul quality within each of us, which I talk about, the 5 soul qualities within people, which are sort of the creative soul, the mystical soul, and then there's the deeply loving soul and connected through universal love souls. And then there are the souls that are incredibly compassionate and supportive of other souls. Their whole soul journey is to help other souls along their awakening, right? And then there are the achiever souls that are out there making stars and galaxies, and their job is to hold the big picture for the other souls to be able to operate within a context. Okay, so they do that, and then there are the souls that are leader souls. So they actually embody and come down and do things, and they fight for things, and of course we have our leaders and our achievers and our caretakers and our deep feelers, lovers, and we have our creative people. And those are the 5 qualities, and those are the 5 life purpose profiles that you need to unlock within yourself to know the one thing. And so the issue that we have here is that all of the systems that you're operating within right now are being held back by this notion that the wounding that you get in early childhood ultimately creates who you are. And because I use and have used and have not any training in psychology other than reading all these people's crazy papers, I've used healing work and sound work and used methods of awakening these qualities within you that are pre any wound. What I've found is that the one thing that nobody else is talking about or teaching, which I teach, which is the foundation, you can't learn anything else from me until you get this, is that you have a soul quality. You have a soul quality that is one thing. One. Okay, and I said in there, it's like we all have so many options, right? We're told, well, you can be this, you can be that, and your parents are saying to you, hey, you can be anything you want to become. Rhys, little Rhys, you can be anything you want to become. And usually when parents are saying that to you, it's because they don't like who you are. They don't like who you are doing. It's like, well, listen, you can become anything. You don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to be doing. And children understand that. Children get that. If you tell somebody that you can become anything you want to become, that really is telling them that what you're trying to be right now is shooting too low. And usually when a child comes into the world, they are totally expressing their core power, their what they're here to do in the world. Their soul is just emerging out of them. And when you give them a million options as to what they're supposed to do and tell them they need to pick one that you're going to like better and that the world's going to like better, because society and certainly our family, we all like this religion. You better pick that one. Don't be picking any other religion, because that's the one that's the real religion. And the language we're going to teach you that has all of these crazy ideas embedded in every word. Well, we're gonna program that into you too. And then you're gonna be able to make your own decisions, because once we've given you the society rules, the family rules, the language rules, the cultural rules, all of these rules, you can't make any of the decisions other than trying to be something like everybody else. But that will negate the only thing that will ever make you happy, which is your soul quality, what I call your life purpose profile. These soul qualities come through and they create 5 different kinds of people. They create people that are highly creative and artistic. They create people that are deeply loving and caring, have never hurt a fly. They create people that are, these soul qualities create these people. They create people that are compassion, caring, and would give their shirt off their back for anybody, and will always pull over and help you jack up your car and change your tire when you have a flat tire. They would never drive by anybody that and they will sacrifice themselves for other people. And then there are the super achievers that are the ones that see the big picture and are organized and make sure our buildings don't fall down and that they can manage thousands of people in organizations. Those sort of people, very structured mentally and driven, and they're also our triathletes that are out there doing everything. And then we have our leaders who are who lead no matter what they do. They're huge energy, and they are people that are born to lead. So they come into the world and they know that they look around and say, oh, that's nice, everything's mine. Okay, so everything in the world is there to serve them in some way, and their whole job in life is to figure out how and why. So you're one of those 5. Now, think about it rather than from this illusion that you would create one of those 5 behavior patterns by having a wound in your life. So yes, if you were wounded at birth, where you're developing your first chakra and this sort of like and this foundation, of course, the defense or the thinker, the overthinking defense might be a natural inclination that I'm not going to feel safe in the world, and those super creative people that don't want to be in the world, that you would think, hey, well, if I do that, and that's actually the work that I do, the work in Discover Your Purpose, that I base this on is the work of Alexander Lowen and Wilhelm Reich. Both were psychiatrists that worked with crazy people in sanitariums, and they figured out these 5 qualities, which were just, it was like maybe the most brilliant thing anybody's ever done around psychology. They thought Freud was nuts. How could you ever live a life from your brain? Your brain is the problem. But understanding the body's energy and how you armor and things like that. So they were looking at all the sort of like the way we armor ourselves and do these things. But basically, they were still psychiatrists. They were still thinking this wound creates this behavior over a lifetime, and this defense against the wound creates this type of person. But it's not true. If you remember, the one thing is that you came in ready to, you came in whole. You came in with your purpose intact. That's the one thing. And what happened to you, so now this is the big one, right? What happened to you happened because that happens to all people with that profile. You understand? So rather than everybody comes in and we're just clay that can be molded and told what language we're supposed to have and what we're supposed to do in our lives and all these things, all of that, right? Rather than thinking inside the box like that, like what you realize is that each one of us came in specifically to have very specific, not only good happen to us, but bad happen to us, because those are our contracts. Your soul doesn't even pretend that it's something that it isn't. Only the brain can do that. Only your brain can say, well, this didn't work out. Maybe I'll try to be this person. Maybe I'll try to be that person. And so when you are looking for the one thing that you have to get, along with all the other work you're doing, and many of you are probably doing meditation and yoga and chakra work and therapy, and you may be doing acupuncture and chiropractic and learning about energy systems and you name it, whatever you're doing. If you can't then have that experience related back to the part of you that existed before any wounding happened, it'll never make sense. It'll never stick. It won't stay with you. Because the part of you that's the one thing that you've always been and can never not be, that's the only part of you that can heal you. Even if you have the greatest techniques in the world, I mean, there's tapping, there's sort of, meridian massage, there's chakra work, and we teach a whole bunch of these things at the Rhys Thomas Institute to teach you how to relieve and how to get a person back to the experience of being who they are, rather than teaching you some technique that removes a problem, which then the person becomes beholden to you forevermore. So, right? Understand? So just like medicine, we've used healing work in the same thought process. We have a problem, we have a wound, we're going to fix it, and then you just keep coming back for therapy, and eventually maybe it'll get better, but we'll just keep doing the therapy on you, rather than saying, no. If you do therapy well, and the person who taught me about energy work was a gentleman by the name of Herb Anderson. He was probably the most knowledgeable man I've ever met. And He found me in my 20s when I was, just a total mess, and I had a terrible rotator cuff. I actually had my arm in a sling because I had such a bad rotator cuff. And he said, "You ought to come over." He was not only a chiropractor, but he was really he understood all. He was like universal. He was total sage. And he said, "You ought to come over, and I'll get you started on that." And I went over, and I literally couldn't even lift up my arm. And after he had adjusted it and moved it around, I could have gone out and played 5 sets of tennis. And I was like, "Whoa! So what's happening here?" And he was the one that reminded me and trained me to see that. And he used to say it. He's like, "If I see you," because I would go in for these sessions, and I'd be like, "Oh, then what are you going to?" And he's like, "If I work on somebody more than once or twice for the same issue," he goes, "I would just get bored." So rather than doing that, I heal each thing as they come up. The problem is that then once you get to another level, of course, something else triggers. But each time you come in for him, it's like you're progressing rather than always trying to heal the same problem, because you're not getting related back. And so one of the things that he was doing very subtly was he was helping people understand who they actually were, and then getting them into a state where they can experience who they really are, and then saying, "That's who you are. That's the one thing." And he would do that through seeing you, through being present with you. And for every person that came into his office, he was seeing pro athletes, he was doing this, there were thousands and thousands of people that came to him, and he would see you in like 15 minutes, and you were out and gone, and he would see you. And he was amazing, but he treated every person differently because he was teaching you the one thing. The one thing is you. You can't do healing work and think the healing work is going to heal you. You can't go and do therapy thinking that the therapy is going to fix something in your head when the head's not, it's not going to get fixed there. And yet, you can do your mental, you can do your therapy, you can do your energy work, you can do all of these things. And every time you release something and you come back to this sort of like, wow, that's me. And then you're able to say, that is me. Now, what happens is that every time you experience that one thing, you start building a language for that. And that language builds its own language that's not English, right? It doesn't have a religion. It doesn't have a culture. It doesn't go to war with other people. That's just nuts, right? It's the truth. It's this soul-connected truth that you are, and you are part of all souls, but you are this one unique quality. And when you do work, and you work with somebody, like work with me or my 35 teachers at the Rhys Thomas Institute, and we still do have, I think we've got 2 or 3 spots left in there if you're interested in finding out about that program. And if someone can type in www.rhysthomasinstitute.com/class/, that'd be great. So then you can go check it out. If you haven't checked it out, and you can get a call with me and we can talk about it. That's, what we teach is how to do all of those other things. And we do not do therapy. This is not therapy. This is all energy-based work that we do. But it's all teaching you all the levels, all the different types of releasing abilities, including the crystal bowls, which I'm going to play here in a minute. And I'm going to give you one of these experiences. But if you have all these great experiences and you're like, oh, and the angels are singing and all of this, but you don't have any idea what to do with it. You don't know why you have that, and you don't know that that's actually your native tongue. It just goes out, and you go right back to the old world, the old mental world that says, well, this happened to me, and that happened to me, and that's why I'm broken, and that's why I have to do this. And every one of the therapies out there are based on this crazy notion that the wound you had as a child created who you are as an adult. And I'm not saying that it what's the difference between nurture and nature? That's your nurture, right? So you got the wound as a child, and then you created some really bad behaviors from that throughout your life, and you've stuck with them, and you lost the connection to your soul, which is back here, and then that is who you became, who you thought you were, but you didn't actually become that person. You've never been that person. Nobody has ever not been their soul. They've just forgotten about it. So this is really the one thing. And when you know the flavor of your soul, the feeling of your soul, the sensation of your soul, and that's why I teach through the profiles, because what happens is that these feelings that you're going to have right now when I play Crystal Ball are not obvious. And it takes a trained person who's soul trained and also wound and defense trained to be able to tell you the difference between defense, which is a mind created feeling. So who I am from my defense based on my childhood wounding has a very specific signature and energy. Who I am in this moment that's creating all of this out of nothing, out of the quantum field, that part of me that's doing that's never been wounded, occasionally my brain shuts off long enough that I can experience that person, that quality within me, that soul within me. And that soul has never been sick, never had a problem, and it heals like that. You can literally heal. I don't care what went on within you. You've seen and you've heard of these miraculous healings that go on. And when someone's healed, it's because they've reconnected to a part of themselves that not only doesn't believe that they should be sick, they don't know how to be sick, right? They don't know how to be sick because that soul quality within you just knows how to be alive, just knows how to fill your souls with your energies and your cells with every possible amount of juice that they need to live 150, 200 years. I know that's one of my other Facebook Lives. So I'm going to play a couple of crystal balls here, and we are going to, and then I'm going to do a couple readings, and we're going to just see if maybe you can start today listening to the one thing rather than listening to the 1,000 things that are all spinning around you, telling you you ought to be this and you ought to be that and you ought to focus on this and focus on that. And if you brought your attention down to the one thing, things might change for you fast. So let's try. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so I want you to close your eyes. I just want you to let this tone, let these two tones, nice, huh? Let these two tones take you on a journey. And whatever you feel, good, bad, indifferent, just allow yourself to experience what these vibrations awaken in you. Actually, all right, that's good enough. Hopefully you were able to hear all that. All right, so come on back. Now, that was a healing, okay? That was a healing. And healings aren't about just sort of totally making you feel better. Sometimes healings wake you up to something that's real inside of you. So some of you may have not have felt those as fantastic or whatever, but whatever you felt was the one thing. What did you feel? So type in what you felt. So profile, oh, here's the question. So it's a soulful thing. Let's see. So so our profiles are our souls and our soul calling. Yes. Jana, you got it. You got it. Yes, the profile is the quality of your soul that's going to come through this energy field. And remember, your body is like a tuning fork for that profile, for that quality to go through. And so you have a very specific type of body to express that energy. So those bowls were the heart bowl and the first chakra bowl. Okay, violence, abuse. Was it for me? I became very tender, fair, honest, understanding. Soul. Nice. Okay. Nice, Simi. Okay, so you felt bliss in your heart. Nice. Okay. And so Simi, so that's good. So Simi, you had two things here. You had some violence and abuse in your life, which sadly, for everyone, it's amazingly rare that people didn't experience something like that in their lifetime. But that triggered you to become very tender, fair, honest, and understanding, and so that called you to this deeper language of the emotional intelligence specialist. So of our five life purpose profiles, that would be, you were called to be that and to do that. So now, but then the question is, when you are faced with violence, you're also in a situation where that energy that you are receiving is also energy that you're supposed to work with in your life. So there may be, even though the response to that event was to say, I'll never be, and that's in my book, Discovery Purpose, we talk about it. In the school, we talk about what I call vows, where we make a vow to never be violent like that and horrible like that, which is actually a nice thing to choose not to do. I don't think I'll be, returning that favor to anybody. But if you're actually here to be stronger, and if that violence didn't kill you, and you are strong like that, there may be a deeper compassion and love that you have. But often what may happen also is that the behavior of not being like that other person is stronger than the soul quality of being a compassionate, powerful person. So if you're dealing with powerful people in your family or in your life and violence that you know deep in your heart is not right, it doesn't mean that you aren't here not to have that kind of influence and power that they use incorrectly, that they use in an unconscious way. You may need to have that. So you want to be careful, because some people will go into the wrong profile based on the wound. So if you had a lot of violence and hurt, you may just say, I vow to always be loving and giving and caring, and I'm never going to raise a hand to anybody. But if you had family members who had all that energy, you've got that energy too, and you may have energy that you're leaving on the creation table that you need to live your purpose. And so it's important that you understand that what you felt. So when you felt bliss in my healer, did you mean your heart? See me, type that in again. Let me see what you were saying. I thought you said bliss in your heart. But that Bliss, felt it in my throat, a little anxious. Okay, so head clearing. Okay, so let me just take some of these. Felt in the heart and throat, a moment of peace. So each of these, if each of these, if I had to say to you that what you experienced when that bowl played was either how you love or how you avoid loving, could you see it as a voice that was guiding you in that way? Okay, so let's see if we got felt expansion of solar plexus. Hey, Andrew. Expansion of solar plexus and chest. Okay, Lonnie said, felt tingling in my breast, chest on left side, more out to pulsating, tingling hands. Okay, Willa says, pulsation through my body and a tightening in my solar plexus. As ever, my nose especially was full of sensation and palpitations in my heart. Nice. Okay, so felt in heart and throat, a little anxious. Okay, all right, so here we're getting back up there. So, all right, so for each of you, Mary, when I played that, so when I play that bowl, that's a healing for the heart. And the heart, especially, I connected it to the first chakra. So it's sort of like right here, right now, this present moment, this body you're in, this life. What do you need to do to love yourself enough to live your purpose? And what would that feel like? So if that's the overall message, and Mary, you had a moment of peace. So, how are you not giving yourself time and peace, in your life to be who you really are, right? So if you're constantly go, your heart just said, quiet, just a moment of peace. This is the language you need to be able to share your greatest gift, is not the go. And I know Mary is, go, and she got a lot of creative idealists in there. But that moment of peace, that may be the language that you need to listen to be able to express yourself in your relationships in a better way. So Janice said, felt in my heart and throat, a little anxious. Okay, so you're sharing your heart's truth about who you are and why I'm here and all is coming up into, so it's important that you speak this truth in you, right? So the language of the soul was to say, you need to speak your truth. You need to tell what it is that's deepest within your heart. But there's the wound that said, unless you say what we want you to say, don't say anything at all, or something like that, or you get yelled at for sharing your feelings or being too open-hearted, or, just like these, I don't know, whatever your political leanings are, there's like a saying called bleeding heart liberals, like, okay, yeah, let's just destroy the world. Let's not have an open heart about anything, because you might as well do that because everybody else is doing it. That's really, that would be the going to hell in a handbasket. So this idea that when we share our heart, it creates nervousness, is just what you have, how you've blocked your ability to really share. And the first time you share like that, the first time you feel what's really in your heart, and you say, I got to tell you, I love you, and you're talking to like office mate, right? And just saying, I just love you. I just love it. And you're like, you can't say that stuff. It's like, you can't say that stuff at work. This is a corporation. And you don't tell people you love them. You say, I appreciate what a good job you do there you go. Now that's a heart statement, right? And how idiotic is that? And that's why we live so stuck in these boxes, because that nervousness comes up, and then you can't actually speak a truth. So that was a very important calling from your soul, from the one thing. Remember, the only thing that counts is getting information from the one thing. And that one thing has a feeling, has a sensation, has a quality. And every time you've ever had an aha moment, every time you've ever had an epiphany, or come off the healing table, or done any of the infinite number of things that we do at the Rhys Thomas Institute, played with friends, laughed until your stomach hurt, all of those things. And when you're done with that, that was the experience of your one thing, your soul, your core quality. And it has a flavor. It has an energy. And whatever happened to you in your life, and I'm just going to wrap up here, whatever happened to you in your life was based on, and if you read my book, or you come and do some work with me, or you do the profile training that online profile training that I'm going to offer for those of you that can't come to the school, if you understand that each of those people will be wounded specifically based on what their life purpose is, rather than some random event that then creates this behavior, that's when you realize that this one thing that I teach, that no one else has bothered to figure out to teach. And I'm not saying that people aren't teaching about the soul. Like, we have the soul, this eternal soul, but all of the psychological models, all of the profiling systems that are based right now are all based on behavior. And behavior comes from thinking. And thinking is almost always wrong, because it's living in the past and worried about the future and not ever in the present moment. Right? But this part of you, when I played that bowl, it was in the present moment and said, oh, I feel this, right? And we had, Andrew felt an expansion in his solar plexus and chest. So just a real quick, I got to show my love. I got to show my heart. I got to show how loving a person I am. I've got to bring it out. So this expansion in the third chakra, the doing, so like that was the feeling. So knowing how the energy body works, understanding, just forget the spiritual centers, but just understanding how the chakras work and how they speak. That voice that comes through them through sensation isn't in English. It's the voice of your soul, of the number one thing, the only thing. Okay? So I hope you all got this, because I don't know when I'll do this again, but there's one thing inside of you that heals you. One. Every healing work that you do has revealed that to you. The problem is not that the healing work you're doing doesn't work, including allopathic medicine. If your healing work isn't working, it's either the wrong healing work, or it's working great, but you can't sustain it because you can't relate back to the core that when that healing, whatever healing work you do, clears away a space, if you don't know what to fill that space with, which is the one thing, it just comes back, because the mind just keeps going back to the same old pattern. The mind is just like a automatic. It's like a skipping record, right? Whoops, skip. I know I'm dating myself here on that, but it's like, whoop, skip, 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 and it will never stop until you get to soul, and then it stops completely, because the one thing you are is being revealed in every moment, and it's amazing, and it's always finding joy and passion and the type of energy that you need to heal anything and find great work and incredible relationships and find what it's like to heal from the inside out rather than from the outside in. All right, everybody. So that's it. The one thing, don't forget it. And every day, build the language with that, and don't keep building this language in your head, because already all set. It doesn't need your help. It's already off on the wrong direction. Find that language deep inside of you of the one thing, and your life changes like miraculously, instantaneously. Bye, everybody.